You or someone you love is a high-achieving executive or entrepreneur. Others expect you to have it all together all the time. But the truth is this: it takes a tremendous amount of energy and hard work. You sacrifice a lot and are wondering if it's really worth it. People make changes for one of two reasons: from the rock bottom of desperation, or from a point of inspiration. Welcome to Season 2 of our LinkedIn Live series, where we will spend the next 6 episodes focusing on a vital yet often overlooked aspect of leadership and personal development, unblocking and harnessing the flow state. We'll explore how tapping into this state can significantly amplify your potential as a leader and bring a renewed sense of purpose and fulfillment to the role. Tune in as we explore heart-coherent leadership, a transformative approach that aligns emotional intelligence with decision-making. Discover how it elevates your leadership and transforms your organizational culture into a more dynamic, responsive, and innovative environment. Every week on Freedom Flow Fridays, join Dr. Anna Davies, Dr. Amanda A. Carpenter, and myself, Suzette West, as we expand the conversation, delving deeper into the realm of heart-coherent leadership and the transformative power of flow. We invite you to join us as we unblock the flow to your freedom, week by week.
Good morning.
My mic was muted. Hey, Dr. Davies, how's it going?
Everything's going excellent. How are you?
I'm doing good, doing good. So Amanda couldn't join us today, but she'll be joining us next week.
Awesome.
So this week our topic is communication breakdown. This is a really big topic to talk about, just because it's happening everywhere. Like
Correct.
when communication breaks down, nothing happens, right?
Correct.
So, and I think we touched on this in the last episode that we did, and I thought this would be a good topic to expand upon. But here's a overview of what we're going to cover. So, first of all, we're going to talk about what is communication. We're going to talk about how it happens, why it happens, and how to restore meaningful dialogue through coherent communication. So with that, we're just going to get started right now. So I know that in your work, Dr. Davies, you rely heavily on communication, right? So let's start the conversation by talking about how important it is that communication does not break down. Like, what is the importance of that?
Communication is essential and critical for a leader to guide the team. If you use your words to harm, you will break down your team. And when your team breaks down and they develop resentments and biases, they will not be productive. That's why I made a vow that I would always use my words to inspire and to motivate, and never to belittle anyone. I find the good in the negative always. And I speak and I communicate the good. And then when I lift them up and I want to help to improve, and these are the areas I would like to see you improve in, how can I help you get to that? Invite them to make the changes, but with the communication, if you when someone belittles me, I what I do is I shut them off and thank you, next, keep on pushing. I don't have time for those who can't use their words in a positive way, and that's how you plug these negative energies, right? You got to understand, in the field that I'm in, we have a lot of negative energy because a lot of people are seeking help, and um, some people are scared to make change in their life because they're used to what they're used to and they don't believe in themselves. And if you communicate in a positive, right, way, and get to the level, down to the level of where your staff is at, and be open and to hear them is very important so you can understand what is happening. And I'll tell you, there is a lot of personal businesses and getting involved in work business. And I have made it very clear that I care about you and your family. Like, you have to show that you care and you're there to support. And don't volunteer, right? You don't volunteer anybody. You ask, you make them feel like they're a part of, and then you offer your assistance to make help make change. What can I do to help you increase your productivity, your passion? Like, um, how can I help you? And that is just a light, a welcoming, well, and you'd be surprised when you say those words, what comes out of your employee's mouth. This is what I'm dealing with, and I'm sorry, and you just be patient and kind. But also, communication comes from within. So if you have your own issues, right, then you're not going to be patient. You're not going to listen. You're just going to react right away, which is not good.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm going to talk about the energetics of communication breakdown. And before I do that, let's just kind of give it a uh I'll define it. I'll define it. So communication breakdown is when communication breaks down. Like, no, someone, two people, at least two people, are trying to communicate. They're trying to have a conversation, and somewhere down the line, the trust breaks down.
Right.
When trust breaks down, so does the communication. So communication is just basically people stop communicating. They just stop, right? So, and
And what
if
that is they shut down.
yeah, they shut down. There's no communication. That's what it means. How it happens? Trust breaks down. That is what happens. That at the core, it is a breakdown in mutual trust. Actually, there's mutual trust, but somebody took something to heart. Somebody said something wrong. You know. Now here's the thing about communication and words. See, our words have power. There's energy behind those words, and what determines the effect of those words is our intention. So if someone is giving some difficult news to somebody, and they say it in a way that is either judgmental, critical, blaming,
Attacking.
shaming, those are energetic frequencies that, when you're saying those words, and that energy is in there, and that energy is created by, you know how we're thinking about the situation, how we're feeling about the situation. There's the energy that we put into the words. Our intention is what So if our intention is to make the person wrong, or shame the person, or make them feel bad for doing this or that and the other, that energy is going to come through those words, and that is going to, that's going to break communication down. People don't want to, it's
But
not safe to
also,
have a conversation.
correct, but also you got to understand with the trust is the respect is gone. You know,
Yeah.
I've got to have the trust and the respect because that's really crucial, especially in the field of behavioral health when we are trying to help those who are struggling with addiction, homelessness, and have severe mental health. You got to tap into your inner self and be creative, and communicate. People are scared to be in the recovery, right? I got to change. I got to stop doing these things. But what I have taught my crew is let's put a new light on recovery and enjoying and peace and fun, and it's not scary, like, because people that's why people tend not to like to do recovery and all that, because they're scared because of what's been said. But when they come to our facility, we welcome them with open arms, and our creativity taps in. It's because of the passion of the facility. You got to understand the passion, the hope, right? And the love for what you do will come out in your work, and you'll be able to reach out to others.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, mutual respect and trust has to be there, right?
Yeah.
Because if we're thinking uh blame, anything that blames, anything that shames, anything that judgment is a hurtful thing, and you
Or
can feel that.
correct, or feeling that you've been mistreated, that you're not being heard. That's really, you know, if you
Yeah.
don't have a great passion for what you do and that happens, that will break someone down.
Yeah, but even if you you might be loving what you do, but if there's a particular person that maybe you don't like, or maybe they don't like you, I mean, you feel that, right? That's tough thing too, peer to peer. Um, or even in relationships, whether it's a romantic connection, whether it's a family connection, if we're going to have tough conversations, it's really important to really set an intention for what the communication is for, and how can we have this conversation in a way that won't cause communication breakdown. So we talked about what communication breakdown is, and then we talked about how it happens. It is an energetic
Correct.
phenomenon. It is an emotional, and the way we think, the way we feel, the energy of our thoughts, the energy of our emotions. This sets the tone for the conversation. And if there's any kind of resentment, blame, shame, anything, that's going to come through in the words. That's
Correct.
going to cause trust to break down. And therefore, communication is going to break down too. So now we're going to talk about, what are some ways to, like, we're going to talk about how do we restore that, like, once communication breaks down. And you already touched on this earlier, Dr. Davies. So to restore that trust so that a meaningful communication can start to at least have a chance of happening, the first thing is, how do we restore the trust? you know talk about that for a minute, Dr. Davies.
So when I have an issue going on like this, I use the conflict resolution model, and I would be the first one to be like, I apologize if I offend you. Um, how can I how can I make changes so that um, we can increase your motivation or your productivity here at the facility? So I open it up and I admit, you know, whatever fault or what I can do to change, and that anything I said or did or that you meant to take it and, you know, People take things in different ways, right? I'm able to communicate. I apologize if I offend you. And right there is the power words. How can we restore this relationship together?
And that requires two people willing to come back to
Right.
try, right? There has to be a mutual desire to want to work things out. Otherwise, it has to be a two-way street. Both people want to come together, like this connection or this relationship, whether it's a business relationship, whether it's a family, romantic, whatever the relationship is, if it's valued, mutually valued, and it's like, we need to work through this. I really value this connection, or we have to work together in the same place, or whatever it is, right? There has to be a valuing of the relationship in order to come back in to try to solve things, right? So there has to be that mutual, okay, I really want to work this out. How can we work this out? Like you said. But if one party does not want to come to the table, they just kind of just threw it away. There, you can't save it. But if you've got two people willing to come back to the table to try to work through things, that's the very first step, right?
Yeah, but
And that
also there's a secret sauce on that though when I'm communicating, because I'll point out the positive things only, making them feel good, inspire them when we're having the conversation. And that is key. That's the only secret sauce I'm giving right now.
okay. All right. Yeah, yeah. Once that decision, yes, I care about this. Let's do this. So then it's really important to, now there's a thing called coherent communication that the Heart Math Institute teaches. And one of the first things is, we get into a heart coherent state. And if you want to, we usually do this before we start the segment. When we do this every week, Amanda and I would drop in and we do heart focused breathing just for about a minute. But in essence, this is the very first step. And if you want, we can just do a quick run through on what heart focused breathing is, because this is the tool that is the first step in getting into a state of coherent communication. So you don't have to close your eyes. You can close your eyes or not close your eyes, but it starts by focusing our attention in the area of the heart, and imagine the breath is flowing in and out through the heart, deeper and slower than normal. And you just allow the breath to deeply fall and breathe like this. Just take it. All it takes is about a minute. So what heart-focused breathing is, it's a way to turn down the volume of stress, because when you're talking about communication breakdown, you're talking about a very highly stressful situation. So it's key to make sure that's turned down. So we start with heart-focused breathing, and then we set an intention. We set an intention for the conversation, like what really matters here. And then we create a neutral space. So we suspend our judgment.
Yes.
We allow the energy to become neutral. We suspend our judgment because now it's time to actively listen. Okay. Um, and then begin with, like you said, for you, it's saying something positive. It's using what was that model that you said? Conflict resolution?
Conflict resolution model. And what I do is I see the positive in the negative situations, and then I communicate the positive, with a loving passionate heart. I make sure that I always, and there's one thing, if I know that I will not communicate correctly, then I have my own system that I do. And I'll go take a walk and breathe. I'll do my heart math breathing techniques. And when I know that I'm ready to communicate, then that's when I will communicate. I also like jump roping too, when that gets me stimulated. Or I always look at things that are positive in my life to distract and take out the negative. I understand negative is going to be around, but how I look at it is, okay, what is this negativity situation? What do I need to learn about this? And right away, this is a skill that is acquired. You have to do it in order and I always find the lesson in each negative situation, and I'm able to develop a solution.
Yeah, yeah. And it's really so important that reactivity is taken out of the picture.
Correct.
Because when we are reactive, we're talking from the amygdala. We're not communicating from the executive thinking part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex here. We're reacting. When we are in that reactive mode, like we're anticipating someone saying something wrong, and then like a hair trigger, you just kind of like pop off, right? So it's really important that we maintain access to our executive thinking faculties, and you do that by keeping that stress volume down, because otherwise, when stress starts to rise, we get locked out of that executive thinking faculty that we have, right? So that's why heart focused breathing is really important, because otherwise we're going to be reactive, and we're going to be communicating from the part of the brain that's, we're not going to be saying, we're just going to be talking to argue, or to defend our point, or to make someone, it's just going to escalate into more problems. But being able to suspend judgment, in other words, you're just listening without judging, that's
Correct.
really critical too, because that judgment will break communication down too.
Correct.
So yeah, so restoring trust, there's a mutual respect there. There's no judgment. I'm not judging you. I just want to hear your point of view. Let me hear your point of view. I want to understand. And then, like, if you've ever watched, if you've ever read the book The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, there's a part in there that says, seek first to understand, then to be understood. So help me understand, so then I can then communicate to you, so to help you understand me. So it's not, there's no judgment there. And there's this thing called neutral energy. We suspend judgment. So that creates a neutral energy. It makes it safe for someone to come in and speak their truth, right? Speak from their heart, speak what their perspectives are. I want to understand. And then we pull back our judgment and we just listen. Okay, I understand what you're saying. I understand your point of view. And this is really important to establish that coherent communication. So we are, first of all, setting ourselves up to respond from the optimal part of our brain and not reacting. That's really important. It's really important to step out of our points of view, step out of our judgments,
Also
and
step
to
out of
just,
your, also step out of your comfort zone. Okay.
yeah,
Because
that too.
one thing about a leader, like if you have a lot of issues within yourself, it's going to be very hard, because what you feel inside is a reflection out of your words and your actions. Okay. So a leader leading in desperation, it doesn't work. It doesn't work. That's why it's so important when you talk about a leadership. What have you done on the inside? What tools are you using? What are you doing within yourself? Because as a leader, you can't have a low self-esteem. With a leader, you can't have insecurities. Like, what kind of footwork have you done within? Because if you don't work on your inner self, you won't pick up on these warning signs, and you won't be able to have that mental clarity that you need to make life saving decisions, especially in my field. And the
Yeah,
field that I'm in and the field that I'm in is behavioral health, and it's no joke right now. The burnout rate is so high. There's turnover rates with leaders, program managers. Like there is I stay steady because my passion, my love, and the hope of making change in the community is what drives me. And I do my footwork and I do what I need to do to be better. I'm never going to be perfect, but I'm always going to work on me and be open to see, I have that mental clarity. I'm able to see, okay, that needs to be taken care of. I'm able to see these warning signs. I'm able to have that energy, that positive energy, and to be mentally coherent and heart coherent, aware of the situations, the staff, the people that we help. Like I'm able to, and you have systems in place. So when you have a coherent heart and mind, and they align, and and you're working on your inner stuff, you'll be able to develop solutions with big issues.
yeah, and one of the things you just touched on is having those feelings of, we're not saying all feelings belong at the table, right? The good
Right.
ones, the bad ones. It's
Of
it's
course.
it's part of being human. But what we have to do is learn how to manage those thoughts and
Correct.
emotions so that we can, set them aside temporarily. Not to make them wrong or bad or that they don't count, but to just create a space where a safe conversation can take place for with the intention of resolving the conflict. Like, where is the conflict? Where is the constraint? Where are we clashing? How can we work through this? Because I care, you care, so let's talk about what really matters here, and let's try to work through the issues. Otherwise, there's no other way back from, once there's no other way back until that is restored.
Yeah. And
So yeah.
and another important thing that we need to talk about is, yes, communication is really important, but healthy boundaries are as important. You set your boundaries. We have an understanding. If we have, that is, I had my daughter told me something that without boundaries, resentments are created, and that's very, very true. And
Yeah,
so,
it is true.
I have a healthy boundary with my crew. I let them know I appreciate you. I care about your personal life, but the healthy boundary that I am setting is to please. When you come here to work, I need all of you, and all the time, every single time. You, I got you, Anna. Is because the field that we're in, when we have our personal stuff in our business, that can cause someone losing a life, because like I said, addiction, mental health, and homelessness. Right now we're in a epidemic right now with people of dying of overdoses, and it's I need my team to be coherent, and I inspire and I motivate them, and I let them know, hey, when this happens, when you are not mentally clear, let me know and I'll work with you. Like, I'll work with them, because the reason why I am sick, I give them the reason why, is because we have human lives in our hands. And if you're not present, I need to know so that I can step in. I am a leader that does the grunt work. I am the leader on the battlegrounds. I am the leader that leads my team, and I'll be the first. And I'm a leader that will scrub a toilet. I do not care, but I do every services. I do groups. I do like I do everything because I like it. If you're in a field that you don't like, it's going to be very hard.
Yeah, that's really important too. How you feeling about the circumstances, but what you said is really critical, right? You can set healthy boundaries, and you don't have to be an asshole about it, right?
No, you don't.
No,
No,
you don't have to be an asshole about your boundary setting. Some people think that in order to set boundaries, you have to be a jerk, and you
no,
don't.
no, 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 no.
You
We
don't. You
that's where that communication and inspiration comes in, right? I throw out the positive, and then I go ahead and set my boundary. I appreciate you, and I appreciate your family and your life. And when it comes to work, these are what I expect from you. And I've never had a
right.
problem. I've never had a
Yeah.
problem.
Yep, yep. And, so to reestablish that coherent communication, turn down the volume of stress, set the intention
Right,
to suspend judgment, to allow different perspectives to come through, to not jump and cut people off, because people do that too. Like once they start getting riled up, they will jump in and they will cut you off and
correct.
start blah 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 blah, and then now you're talking at each other instead of talking with each other. And when you start talking at each other, communication is breaking down.
Correct. So I'll tell you something. When someone says, and I will never initiate mean communication styles at all, but when I have been attacked with words, I will go ahead and set that boundary. Is when you can communicate respectfully and right to me, then we can revisit this. And as of right now, I will not speak nor respond to your communication style, and I walk away.
Right. So there could be a few attempts, right, to have a meaningful conversation about something. But you're right. Like, how many times can we get people to come back to the table, right? How many times can we do that?
But you gotta be able to look at, oh, are they in the right state of mind to address this issue now, or maybe we should try to address it later when they calm down. And typically, that's I would add. I strongly suggest is if that communication style is not good at that moment, you back away and you revisit later. But also
Yeah.
set
Some
your boundaries, because some people,
right.
if someone's not able to hear you, then your time and your energy is very important. You got to revisit when they're in a coherent and mental clarity state. When someone's aroused and upset, they're not meant they are upset and they're not mentally thinking, and they're just spitting words out, right?
Yeah, and there's some people that use their words as weapons.
Correct.
That's another thing too. There are a lot of people out there using their words as weapons. How bad can I hurt you with what I say? And they use their words as a means of wounding someone, and that automatically that's not going to reestablish any kind of trust. That's just going to permanently destroy. That's just going to permanently destroy the any kind of chance of reviving that connection. So, using your words as weapons, that's definitely not the way to bring it back. But now that
Let's talk about that, though. Let's talk about that. Using your words as weapons. Basically, the poison that you have within yourself is coming out. So, all right, something was triggered, and so therefore, you got work to do. You got work to do. Bottom line, you got work to do. If you cannot maintain, if you cannot master yourself in your communication, your thought, then there's a problem. And then you need to go get help, or you need to do your footwork or whatever work that needs to be done prior to being a leader. Sorry. I'm gonna keep it real simple like that. If you're easily triggered, then there's something going on. I'm not easily triggered. What I do is I understand you're having a bad day. We can revisit this when you are in a better mindset. Thank you and have a nice day. And I walk away. I don't feed into that, nor will I.
yeah. So when let's now kind of talk about. Now, when people get triggered, there's all kinds of reasons behind it, right? Sometimes we're born into traditions where there is a common belief that we hold that we think is correct there, and as a collective, as a tradition, we're triggered by something that's inherited, right? We're born into a culture, we're born into a tradition, and we're believing a certain way, we're seeing certain things happen, and then we get triggered. Now, what do you say about those kinds of things, like these beliefs, these intergenerational beliefs that cause like extreme stress and distrust and anger. I mean, if you're born into something like that, you still got your footwork to do, because what you got to do is you got to step out of that and figure out, what do I really believe and what did I inherit? Because if we get into we are born into cultural beliefs that can form those triggers, right?
Well, let me give you a scenario. In the beginning, early stages of my career, I did have a leader, you know, and she made a comment to me that you don't do the work, you let your people do the work. You sit back and you let your crew do the work. And I responded with, that is not what I was raised. My cultural belief is you work with your team. I do not capitalize. What I do is I work with them because I have a passion of helping people too. And I did feel offended, but I was able to communicate, hey, that's not how it works. That's not what I was raised with. That's not my cultural belief. I do not capitalize on others. I am there on the front lines with them doing the work because I like it. That's what I was taught. So I was able to, that cultural belief, family belief is very powerful because it's a part of who I am, but it's a good part. I maintain an open mind because when you have an open mind, you can better understand situations. And when it's time to communicate, you will be able to communicate the right words. So, yes, I have dealt with a lot of that crap and it doesn't align with me. Therefore, I just throw it out because it doesn't align with me.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to step out of those inherited beliefs because, family expectations or a cultural expectation. This is how we believe. This is how we've always believed. Everyone else is wrong. And, that right there, we have to, as individuals, we have to discern between what we inherited and what we really truly believe as individuals. Yeah, because
And
that's a lot going on.
it the as in the field that I'm in though, also it's not just family and workers, but the community belief, right? When you're in a community and you're helping that community, you know, you have to be creative when you're making change and you want to help. And where I'm at, our facility, we have the community's trust and their respect, and they know where to go when they want help. They have a lot of respect for us because we have shown them the respect and the trust. And so now they feel safe to come and say, hey, I need help.
Yeah, that's great. So we're gonna wrap things up right now. And any last thoughts? Any last thoughts or words you'd like to have to close us out this week?
Well, I would like to say that we will be doing a leadership training course, and that if anybody is interested in wanting to come into this course, they can go ahead and message Suzette and learn, how to be successful because an effective leader has effective communication, which helps to develop systems. To develop systems, you have to be able to do an assessment of the need of the company. And there's more to being a leader than telling people what to do. And if anybody's invited that they want to be a part of that, please message Suzette. It's going to be a very awesome training.
Yeah, we are. Dr. Davies and I, we are teaming up and collaborating, and it's turning out to be a really awesome program. So I am looking forward to launching that initial cohort. So I'm really
And I also
excited.
like to say, for those that want to increase human, decrease human suffering, increase productivity, right? To develop systems, I really invite you to be a part of this miracle training that's going to help those who truly want to be leaders and truly want to make a difference within their company.
Yeah, we need lighthouses in the world right now. We need leaders that are heart coherent. We need leaders that are thinking from the most optimal part of their brain, and we need it so bad. It's like not even funny anymore. I mean, it hasn't been for a long time, but we need to turn the corner. So
And
this is the first step.
I think our secret sauce is we're on the battlegrounds. We're on the fields. We understand. We know what's going on. We know the constant changes. So please feel free to come and join our leadership training course. And I am so excited and I'm ready.
Yay. All right, cool. Well, with that, we're going to sign off until next week. This is Suzette West and Dr. Anna Davies. And hopefully next week we'll see Amanda.
Yay.
All right. Yay. All right, y'all. Well, hey, till next time, stay golden, stay coherent, and stay resilient.
Awesome. Goodbye.